You'll be coming to my wedding too, right, Shay? I made sure to send you an invitation as well.
Well, of course I'm coming. And now that we're talking about your wedding, have you gone and picked out what dress you're going to wear on your special day, Claire?
Yep, I've already decided.
And that dress isn't some kind of a raggedy dress, right?
Raggedy? I'm sure I already explained this to you before, but that dress is a family heirloom. I'm sure that the design is pretty old compared to what people wear today, but I think it looks beautiful.
No way. No way. This wedding is going to be all about you, Claire. There are plenty of really cute rental dresses that you could be choosing from, yet you want to use that old and smelly dress? Your family is very wealthy, right? Why don't you have them pay for you to get a dress of your own design made? And then, when your wedding is over with, you can give me that dress, please. Just as long as the design you choose for your dress is something I really like.
I'm sorry, but I'm sticking with my family's dress. You can continue telling me to get a modern and fresh dress all you want, but I plan on wearing the heirloom dress, and that's final.
You have all that money at your disposal, yet you want to act like a penny pincher. You're so done for. All I've been trying to do is give you the advice you need in order to avoid becoming embarrassed.
Embarrassed?
If you wear that old and stinky dress at that wedding, you're going to be embarrassing my brother. And not only my brother, but the rest of his family, and your family as well. Is that something you're really wanting to do to everyone?
I really don't think that you need to be saying something like that.
No, I have to say something like that. Because if I don't, you're going to make the wrong choice and ruin everyone's day. Oh, that's right. I plan on giving a little performance at the wedding as well, so please look forward to what I have in mind. I'm sure it's going to make everyone laugh, and you might even get a kick out of it too. Claire, are you not coming back to the wedding venue anymore? If the main star of the show isn't going to stick around, then this whole wedding is going to be ruined.
How can you be so calm after what's just happened to me? Do you not have any thoughts going through your head right now that maybe you did something very wrong? And not even maybe, because you did do something completely unacceptable.
Is this about me punching you in the face? Or me going down the aisle instead of you? That was just a simple performance I gave. I told you already that I had a performance to give on your wedding day, right? And look, it even made my older brother who was standing right next to you laugh.
And his reaction was also uncalled for. Camden, what happened with him? Is he still with you?
Camden? He just started to think about the face you made again and is laughing his butt off.
That asshole. People like you. Why did it take me having to put together a whole wedding to realize the kind of people you all are?
Say whatever you'd like, just as long as you hurry up and get back here. Just change your dress or something and put on some new makeup to cover up blood and bruising while you're at it.
Things aren't going to be that simple anymore, Shay. Because of you, my dress is completely covered in blood and is pretty much ruined.
You're still going to get all worried about an old dress like that? It's fine. Just throw the dang thing into the closet trash can and get back here. It's not like you're going to be wearing that thing anymore, right?
I'm not going back to that place.
Huh? What are you saying there then, Claire? Are you already in your 30s and are getting married finally? So don't start saying very regretful things like that, you old hag. Or could it be this? Do you need me to apologize for what happened before you can come back? Well, I'm so sorry for throwing a good punch in your face on your wedding day. But come on now. Everyone in the place was laughing, so that means the performance I put on was a hit, right?
I'm not going to forgive you for what you did, and that apology was the most shallow thing I have heard from you so far, so I'm not accepting it. I'll have you know that my whole family is heading home now. You and your family can decide what to do after everyone on my side of the family is gone.
You're so narrow-minded. I am being so apologetic right now as well. And by the way, abandoning your own wedding after it's already started makes for a bad wife.
Are you all right, Claire? Have you had a chance to calm down any?
Yes, I just got back home and am calming down now.
I'm really happy that after something like that, you got the chance to go back home.
And I'd love to stick around, but I think I should start grabbing all my things and getting myself ready to leave this place. Camden already told me that he's heading back to his parents' house now, so this is my only chance to get out of this house.
You make a very good point. If you'd like, I can be over there tomorrow to help out. Would you want that?
No, you don't have to. I don't have all that much stuff in this house right now.
As long as you think you can handle all of that, then it's fine. What I'd like to know now is what the hell happened there. Even Camden was standing there laughing at you, and not a single person from his family came up to apologize to you after.
I know. I'm at a loss for words right now. I should have been more careful. Up until now, Camden and his whole family all seemed like really good people. I mean, I suppose that Shay's always been a bit of a problem child, but at the very least, Jake and his mother were both such kind people to me.
I'm sure they were at the time. I even assumed they were all great people when we got together to meet one another for the first time. And yet now?
Is Grandma okay? She's not in complete shock because of all this?
I don't think she's in shock anymore. Rather, she's just furious about what happened now. And I'm with her on that.
I'm sure the both of you are.
Claire, I just wanted to say that you are not to blame for any of this. So please, don't get down about any of it. And start doing the things that you have to do.
All right. Thank you, Mom.
Claire, are you seriously going to divorce my older brother now? You had your wedding with him yesterday, right?
I'm serious about the divorce. He sat there and watched the woman he said he supposedly loved take a fist to her face. And instead of coming to comfort and help, he stood there laughing like he didn't even know me. I think it's going to be pretty much impossible for me to live the rest of my life with a man like that now.
Well, you wanting a divorce is totally fine with me. But Claire, you know what this means, right?
What does what mean?
If you're going to be the one pushing for a divorce, then that means you're the one at fault, right? You'll have to pay a settlement to my brother, all right? And since your family is loaded with money, you'll have to make sure to pay him a lot.
So you're going to say that I'm the one at fault for this and then shift the blame onto me? Please don't get involved in something like this, Shay. Because you have no idea what you're talking about.
You were the head of the show last night, and yet you ran off. And instead of coming back to finish up the wedding like a good sport, you left the whole wedding entirely, right?
And the ones who ended up ruining the whole wedding were you guys, right? And you can't keep using the excuse of being drunk to fight back. You think drunk drivers get away with excuses like that?
Why are you getting all upset now? I said this yesterday, but what I did got everyone laughing. So what is the problem here?
You thought you got everyone laughing? Did you not hear all the gasps from everyone then? That was not everyone laughing about what you did to me, but everyone in shock as they watched the bride take a punch to the face.
Wow, you older women really have a lot of issues with being hysteric. I'm kind of happy now that you're no longer going to be my older sister.
I feel the same way. I'm so happy that you no longer have to be my sister-in-law. But there's still a lot left to do with you, like chewing you out for what you did. I already had a talk with Jake about how unacceptable he was acting, but you played a part in this and need to be held responsible for that. You can act like you were drunk or didn't mean any harm, but that's not going to help you any.
Sure. I love listening to sore losers cry. Congratulations on getting that divorce you were wanting. I no longer have to call you my family, right?
What do you want from me? I no longer have the patience to sit here and listen to you go on and on about meaningless crap, since you're no longer family to me.
Oh, come on now. Don't be such a stick in the mud. From what Camden has been telling me, you've been completely ignoring all his calls and text. You can't just cut him off like that from the moment you get a divorce, all right?
I'm not ignoring him because I want to. I'm ignoring him because he keeps going on about some of the most ridiculous things that I'm having a hard time understanding.
You can cut it out with the excuses now. How about you just give him what he is asking for, Claire?
So you're telling me you actually understand what he's saying? We weren't even married for a month, and yet he's asking me to give him half of my savings as part of a splitting of our properties.
I know that. And what about him asking that is ridiculous or wrong to you?
When it comes to something like the shared properties of a married couple, such as their house and their money, that only applies to things earned or bought after the marriage. In other words, any kind of savings and such that was obtained before the marriage is off limits.
What? But Camden told me that he'd be getting at least half from you. He told me that you had so much money in your savings that he couldn't even count it, and that once you guys got the divorce, he'd be able to get half of it. And that's why we made it easy for you to get the divorce that you were talking about. I believed he was telling me the truth about getting half of your money, and that's why I went and punched you in the face.
You guys made it easy for me to divorce Cameron? What are you talking about?
From the start, my brother was never into you like that. He never loved you, and he sure as hell wasn't wanting to get married to a woman like you, for you. But he was aware of the money you have. So the plan was for him to marry you, and then immediately divorce you after. And once that happened, he would get access to half of everything you have, including your money. He told me it was the easiest play in the book.
So that's what this was all about? I see. Well, that's too bad. Just like I was explaining to you, things like my savings from before we got married are off limits to him now.
No way! I was told by Camden that we'd be getting hundreds of thousands from you, so I could buy whatever I wanted to. And that's why I went out and bought all of the high-end jewelry I had been wanting. Yet now I'm having to be told the truth by you? Claire, you went ahead and lied to the both of us.
I don't even remember a thing about me lying to you. This is all because of you not doing your own research and just blindly believing whatever your older brother told you. And where you ended up now is exactly where you deserve to be. Sucks that you went out and spent all that money on jewelry, but that's your problem and not mine.
Then you don't have to give us that money through the divorce, but as a settlement.
If you would like me to pay you guys a settlement, then get yourself a lawyer and take me to court over it. Although I'm not sure there are going to be any lawyers fighting for you with the reasons you both have.
Well, why not?
Because based off what you just told me, you are never going to be winning a case against me. Lawyers aren't some kind of superhero, you know. You'd be asking them to change something that is naturally black into something that is naturally white, and that's almost impossible.
God damn it, well, whatever. I have something else up my sleeve. This is Camden's little sister, Shay. I was able to get your number from my brother, and so I decided to text you with it. And you are Claire's mom, right?
Shay, what do you want with me? After what you did to my daughter, I don't see how you have any nerve to be talking with me now.
I have something to ask you, and that's why I needed to text you. Because Claire is such a stinky little jerk, Camden and I aren't able to get any of her savings or a settlement from her. As a wealthy woman yourself, you would never allow her to be so stingy, right?
I'm not really sure what basis you have for saying something like that, but I have heard a lot from Claire already. All you guys think about is money and nothing else, right? I wonder why she was never able to realize that before getting married to you, greedy brother. I should have been able to notice something myself, actually. There was all those moments before Camden and her got married, and even then, I didn't notice a thing. Had I known then what you guys were after, I could have saved my daughter from staining her reputation in a way.
It really does stink that you guys were never able to notice what we were planning. Now, how was it? Camden's and my fine performance.
You are all fools, acting like you couldn't just make money through something like hard work and patience. You are more than welcome to call this family wealthy, but because of our wealth, that is nothing but brings sadness upon my daughter in so many ways. She has been lied to before by plenty of men and led to believe that they were never true in the end. And when she finally found a man she truly felt would not care about things like her family's wealth, she married him, only to find out soon after that he was the worst of them all. And that's your brother Camden I'm talking about. We even made sure to look into your brother to see if he had any prior issues, but he had a clean slate. That's why my husband and I allowed him to marry her. But now we've learned that it wasn't just him behind all of this, but you and the rest of your filthy family as well.
I don't think you should be calling all of us filthy like that. We weren't trying to fool you all or anything. It's just that Camden, myself, and the rest of the family wanted to make you guys our never-ending line of cash.
Whichever way you put it, you guys were only in this so you could use my daughter. You guys thought you had her in the bag too after Jake and her went to the courthouse, and all started to buy so many expensive things, thinking you'd get her money.
So you heard about that little detail as well then? Well, that's right. I went and got myself a bunch of jewelry, and Camden got himself a brand new motorcycle. All things to make us look rich. So all we just need you guys is to pay up. That can be with a settlement or with half of Claire's money or with a donation event. It doesn't matter how you do it, just as long as we get our money, please.
You have no clue what you're even going on about. If you had any common sense at all and put that to good use here, you'd understand that it's Claire who has a right to get a settlement from you.
What? What are you wanting to say there?
Did you guys forget that the wedding which took place a couple of days ago was paid for by us?
Now that you mention it, I do remember hearing something like that. But what does that have to do with anything?
Right now, we're talking with a lawyer regarding what's happened. And if we were able to prove that you and Camden are at fault, we will be able to make the both of you pay for everything.
Huh? You're kidding, right? We'd have to pay for everything? How much would that be?
We went ahead and made this wedding as expensive as possible, as was Camden's request. So you're looking at $40,000.
We have no way of paying that kind of money. Are you a freaking dumbass?
Excuse me? Is that what you call yourself now? I kind of like that name, dumbass. Well, it suits you and your brother perfectly after what kind of foolish crap you pulled, without even putting a thought into what the outcome would be. I'll start calling you Dumbass 1, and your brother can be Dumbass 2.
This is why I hate old bitches like you, always taking little cracks at people like that. I'm being yelled at by my mom and dad now. They're all blaming me for being the reason they all have to pay for the whole wedding. I am the whole reason things turn out like this, because of me throwing a punch at your face. That was what my brother told me to do to you, though, and my parents all agreed with it. They're all going to cut ties with me now if I don't do something. Even if they want to blame me for everything, this was all your fault to begin with.
If you are still blaming me at this point in time, that must mean your brain has completely stopped working.
So you're going to pick on me again, huh? I hate the both of you.
And I really don't care how people as low as you think of us. It's not like you have to see us ever again, right?
Well, if you don't want to see us ever again, then stop trying to make us pay for that wedding.
That has nothing to do with you guys and us. That has to do with the responsibility your family has after what you all did.
Ugh. If this is how you're going to treat me, then I'm going to go online and tell everyone what you've done to us. Then everyone who feels sympathy for my family and I will rally with us and make sure you pay for what you've done.
You really think there are others out there who would sympathize with you? I've already talked with plenty of people already about what you guys had done to me, and so far not a single one of them has sided with you. And what about your friends that you've spoken with? Did any of them say they felt for you?
None of them did. But that's just because they all don't understand.
That's not true. They do understand what you did, but they know better than to side with a couple of bad eggs.
You're calling us bad eggs now? All I frickin' did was hit you in the face with a cake. That was it. Yet now you're taking all of that way too far. Are you actually that screwed in the head?
You're asking me that? Not only did you guys deceive me and try to get my money, but in the end, the most heartbreaking thing for me of all was that you, Shay, you ruined that dress.
And you getting so upset over an old and stinky dress getting a little bit messy makes no sense to me.
That dress which you kept calling old and stinky and said was raggedy before, do you have any idea how expensive it is? Because if you did, you would never say anything like that about it.
You want me to tell you how much I think it's worth? At the very most, $50.
I don't think any dress could be worth that little. That dress was my grandma's, which she bought while she was on a little vacation to Spain. It's from one of the most famous brands in the world and is worth more than you've ever made in your life. Back in the day, it was worth $7,000, which in today's money is around $50,000. It's considered an antique now because that brand is no longer around, which only triples that price.
What? I never knew that.
Even if you didn't know what the price of a dress like that was, you knew just how important it was to me and to my family. Yet you still had the frickin' nerve to ruin it in front of my whole entire family. That dress was first worn by my grandma, and then she passed it on to my mom, who then passed it on to me. Recently, my grandma hasn't been doing too well, so one of the last memories I wanted to give her was of me wearing her wedding dress. But you came in and not only crushed my dreams, but crushed my grandma's dreams as well. I was going to refrain from trying to completely destroy you, but the moment I realized you would never learn your lesson until your whole entire world crumpled around you, I knew I had to fight. So I'm going to make sure you pay for this dress to be cleaned.
What? What the hell? You think the cost of cleaning that dress is going to bother me? That'll only be a couple hundred, right? If that's all I'm going to have to pay out of my pocket, I could do that in my sleep.
Did you already forget what I was just saying? The dress is an antique. A couple $100 to clean it up just isn't going to cut it.
What?
And if the cleaning isn't able to take care of all the staining, then what will happen? You'll have to pay for the dress that you destroyed.
No way. I already have to help pay for the wedding.
This is what you and your family asked for, though. So don't complain to me about the price that is to be paid for screwing around like that.
No! Claire, please don't be so cruel to me. I will make sure to learn my lesson and change. If I have to pay that kind of money, I'll have to go into debt. And that kind of debt at my age, my life will be over with.
You think I'm listening to you right now? You went and ruined my family's heirloom dress and laughed about it like something worth over $200,000 being ruined wasn't going to bother me. How about you go and ask your family to take all responsibility for that debt, and then you can all pay it off together.
They're not going to listen to me anymore. Claire, what do I have to do for you to get you to stop asking for us to pay you so much?
You could always off yourself. Then your family would have to pay me for everything instead, and you would no longer have to worry. But besides that, there's nothing that you can do for me now. I'm a pretty heartless person after all, so those are your only options. I don't care which one you choose as long as I get the money I'm owed. Now please, sit around and wait with your family while my lawyer gets all their things together and gives you guys a call. And please don't ever call or text me again.
Claire, please. Please. No way, I don't want to pay that much. I can't pay that much. What should I do right now?
Today's my day off, so I'm going to come over to your guys' place for a bit.
All right. We'll be waiting for you. Your grandma is really looking forward to seeing you today.
And I can't wait to come out and see her smiling face again. But the way her dress ended up getting ruined, I feel so bad for what's happened.
Your grandma told you not to worry about any of that anymore, right? She's just happy to hear that you were able to cut ties to those monsters. And she actually believes that dress was like a blessing for you, because it showed you what evil awaited you and cleansed them from your life. I believe the same thing now too. So please, stop worrying about it and focus on making a safe trip over here.
All right, I can do that. And thank you, Mom.
I know that it probably hurts to have been stabbed in the back again by a man that you loved. So for a little while, can you please just focus on what makes you happy and not on finding yourself a man? You can do that for a little while, right?
Sure, I suppose I can stay single for just a little while longer. I'm not entirely sure how things unfolded during that phone call between my lawyer and Camden's family. All I know is that my lawyer had a conversation with them, and afterward, he explained the situation to me in great detail. According to him, not a single person in Camden's family seemed willing to take responsibility for what had happened regarding the dress, or the wedding, or anything at all. Everyone was pointing fingers, and no one was ready to acknowledge their part in the mess. But as soon as my lawyer started outlining the consequences of not settling things out of court, things started to change. He made it clear that if they didn't come to an agreement, they would likely never be free of debt, and their financial situation would be an ongoing nightmare. When he laid it out like that, things seemed to click. The weight of what was at stake hit them, and for the first time, they actually seemed to pay attention. At that point, it was clear that the parents, at least, were starting to listen. However, my lawyer himself wasn't fully convinced that they understood the severity of the situation. He had his doubts during the conversation, unsure if they were just pretending to get it, or if they truly grasped what was coming their way. Nevertheless, by the end of the discussion, they had agreed to pay for the entire wedding and have Shay take responsibility for covering the cost of the dress. It was a step forward, but just barely. Despite this agreement, the moment the phone call ended, Camden's family resumed their usual behavior. They went right back to fighting amongst themselves and arguing over who was to blame for everything. It seemed like they couldn't get through a single day without having another argument break out. I heard that for weeks they were at each other's throats, bickering about who should bear the most responsibility and who would have to pay the highest share of the costs. It was exhausting to even think about. At one point, their fighting became so loud and intense that the neighbors ended up calling the police. There was a concern that someone in the house might be in danger, or worse, being attacked. When the police arrived to check on the situation, they found Shay standing behind Camden, who had answered the door. Shay had a massive black eye and was crying uncontrollably. The officers immediately placed Camden and his father under arrest, suspecting one of them might have been responsible for hurting Shay. However, further investigation revealed that it was actually Shay's mom who had been the one to cause the injury, and as a result, she was forced to leave the house for a while to get the help she needed. This whole ordeal turned Shay's life upside down. The situation at home forced her to drop out of college as she could no longer afford to continue her studies, and she needed to find a full-time job to help support herself and contribute to the family. However, despite her personal hardship, she wasn't off the hook when it came to the costs of the ruined dress. She was still legally bound to pay for it, even though she was dealing with her own trauma. The reality of her financial obligations still loomed over her. As for Camden's father, his plans for retirement were completely shattered. He could no longer afford to think about winding down his career. Instead, he had to return to work, diving back into a job he had probably hoped to leave behind. His responsibility was now to help pay for the wedding, something he and his wife had both agreed was okay to ruin in the first place. The sudden reversal of fortune for Camden's family must have been a harsh wake-up call, one that left them scrambling to make ends meet. Camden himself also faced a fallout that was far more personal than just financial. His reputation among his friends, colleagues, and even the people he used to work with took a nosedive once the truth came out about what had happened. People he considered friends quickly distanced themselves from him when they learned the details of what he had done. The truth was hard to ignore, and Camden's fall from grace was swift. His professional life was no better. He soon found that his place at the office was no longer secure. He had essentially lost his standing in the company, and soon enough he had no choice but to quit his job and leave town. Camden's decision to leave town wasn't just about finding a new job, it was about escaping the whispers and judgment that followed him. He was searching for a place where people had not heard about what had happened, a place where he could start fresh, but I had a feeling it wouldn't be easy for him to outrun the consequences of his actions, no matter where he went. Months passed, and eventually I received the money for the dress that had been ruined during the wedding fiasco. They had paid the amount that was agreed upon, and the wedding was finally fully paid for. Whether the money came from loans, personal savings, or some other source, I wasn't sure, but something told me that Camden's family would not be enjoying a comfortable future. They were unlikely to recover from this financial and personal disaster without enduring lasting consequences. As for me, after everything that had transpired, I got back to focusing on my own life. I threw myself into my work once again, determined to build up my savings and get back on track. Even though it had been a difficult time, I knew that my financial stability was the only thing I could rely on. In the midst of all of this, I found myself reconnecting with an old colleague from work. We had lost touch for a while, but we began meeting for lunch every few weeks. He didn't know anything about my family or their financial situation. What mattered to him was that I worked hard and earned the respect I deserved. We would talk about work, life, and everything in between. Over time, those lunches became more than just casual meetups. I could feel my heart start to beat a little faster when I saw him. It was a strange feeling, something I hadn't experienced in a while. As we laughed and shared stories over lunch, I began to feel a spark I hadn't thought possible. After everything that had happened with Camden's family, it felt good to focus on something positive for a change. Something that made my heart race with anticipation. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.